truth. When we say we will do something and we don't do it, we lose faith in ourselves and our abilities without even realizing it. When we are not being true to ourselves, our energy gets depleted, and when this happens, we don't have enough energy to follow through on the things we need to be doing every day. It is vital to think, speak, and act out of love at all times, so that your energy remains high enough to propel you into taking action every day on what needs to be done to reflect who you really are. We play too many roles for society to the detriment of all. We are human and naturally have attachments to certain people and things, but we must learn to release our hold on this temporary physical existence, which, ironically, will bring us closer together. This tribal mentality we experience is one of our many challenges to overcome, but we must work diligently and consistently at realizing our own truths and living in accordance with them, so that we can share who we really are with the world. It does no good to anyone by remaining in a comfort zone or playing it safe. We are here to grow and experience for everyone's benefit, and this involves uncertainties and taking risks. It also involves allowing others to learn from their own choices without interference, even though we may mean well. The more we let go, the more we are free to move forward and ever closer to Spirit. Simply keep your focus on self and let others do the same. When we act out of love, there is no right or wrong, merely lessons learned. When we leave our personal opinions and judgments out, we open ourselves up to choices that are best for the whole. Others may disagree with our actions and show resentment towards us, but it is important to allow them to express their feelings and respect where they are at. It's not easy being the catalyst in someone else's life lesson, but know that by stepping up and taking action, you are doing their soul and yours more good than anything else. Not being and acting who you truly are is a disservice to all. If someone doesn't recognize that you are acting out of love for them, don't despair or judge them. Allow them their truth and their choice to find their own way. They will move forward as they see fit for themselves. Our problems don't come from outside sources. They start within, by our own choice. When we create a problem, we create a barrier that prevents us from seeing the bigger truth. And the only one who can resolve a problem is the one who has the problem. I'm not saying that one cannot ask for help or advice, but I am saying that you are responsible for your life and your outlook. You choose how to feel at any given moment. Pain is sometimes inevitable, but we can choose how much or how little to suffer. There's no need to suppress or force a memory to be forgotten. Rather, acknowledge it simply as something that once was, and leave it behind while you move forward making new memories. Truth is always evolving, expanding, changing. How we live it is what matters. Acceptance is the key to doing this. By accepting who you are and reflecting it in front of others as best you can, you are simply being truth in one of its many facets. All of us are part of the greater truth of life, expressed in its various ways. Truth is not about how many facts you can learn and remember, and having or knowing more truth than another is not what's important. Showing love and understanding is a greater truth than comparing and judging. We are all portions of life's universal truth, and the more of it we can accept, the closer we are to it. It is simply what you see or experience at any given moment, so just accept, but not necessarily agree with, as much of it as possible, for all paths eventually lead to one. By showing everyone our true selves, straight from the heart, we set ourselves free to grow closer in union with Spirit and create better truths for all. While I was out on a bike ride one day, I took a break, sat on a bench and asked Spirit, "What is truth?" This is the reply I got. Truth is whatever you want it to be. It is what you believe about anything. We all start off with our own truth, but as we evolve, we are learned to accept that there are other truths held by different people. Even though we don't accept many truths of others, by accepting that we are all portions of truth, we come to the realization that all of us are making our own ways back to the universal truth from which we came. We must all find our own path and live it out every moment so that our souls can evolve as intended. Only self knows what its truth is, and everyone is responsible for their own self. Find your truth and live it until you discover a new truth for yourself. Then start living that new truth. I recently had to be the catalyst in a lesson for a couple very near and dear to me, but it took 2 years for me to finally act on it. I allowed an arrangement that was not good for my personal boundaries out of a sense of compassion and obligation. I believed that I was doing what was best for all concerned, and I knew that they would have done the same for me if I were in their situation. As time went on, I felt the resentment slowly build up inside me. When it got really bad, I would work on calming myself down and focusing on positive things to settle my mood. And I would also count my blessings. This would usually work, and within a day or so, I felt my normal self again. Since I was the only one who didn't like the way things were, I believed that I was the one with the problem, and therefore I needed to work on my attitude. I would experience resentful moods from time to time, which I believed was just my ego resisting the way it was. But gradually the resentment got worse, and I realized what my real problem was. I was not speaking my truth. How could I expect things to change by not being honest with myself and those around me? I had felt that if I had spoken up, others would feel bad and be put in a difficult situation, which would not be good for the good of all concerned. That was my assumption and judgment, which did make sense from a material perspective. When I finally did speak my truth to those concerned, I started to feel better, but they didn't. I wasn't sure how my relationship with them would be going forward, or whether the situation would change at all. But I knew I had to be open and honest about how I felt, and also to accept the outcome no matter what. They too were now experiencing a lesson, but soon accepted their situation and the next step they needed to take. I was merely the messenger or source of that lesson. A month or so later, I spoke with them again to confirm that preparations had been made for our arrangement to come to an end by the deadline I'd given. To my frustration, I was told it was not happening. It would take at least 6 months before anything could happen. And to my surprise, I lost my temper while trying to enforce the decision I had made. Although my intent was in the right place, I was not so impeccable with my words. My boundary had been crossed and I showed zero tolerance. In my anger, I even said that if this was the way it was going to be, then I would be done with them for good once our arrangement did come to an end. I felt quite disappointed with myself for not using the knowledge I have to control my reaction and emotions. But soon after, I expressed my regret and apologized. I explained that it was not them, but rather the situation I was unhappy about. And I told them that I loved them. But the hurt and the shock was now felt, and to put it extremely mildly, I was in the dog box. They took it very personally, which I accepted and respected. To my relief, they ended our arrangement a week later. It took me 2 years to have the courage to speak my truth about this. 2 years. I know that I took right action and that not to be judgmental. There had been a number of opportunities for them to take personal responsibility. But they chose not to. They had gotten comfortable. If I had not followed up with my decision and stood firm about my boundaries, nothing would have happened, and my truth would have been lost in the wind. Lessons usually come to us in the form of people, and we need to focus on what the disturbance is trying to tell us, rather than who the disturbance is coming from. I had finally lived my truth, and it felt appropriate and good because I did it with love. I still don't know when the best moment to speak my truth would have been, or whether I should have denied assistance in the first place. But I do know that divine order takes care of everything. What's meant to be will be, period. For now, I will simply love them from a distance, until our truths meet up to interact yet again, but always with love. If you're not sure, let go and let God. But be sure to speak your truth whenever you feel the need. Your feelings are God speaking to you, so you need to pay attention to what those feelings are trying to show you. To me, truth means my preference for understanding, so it has nothing to do with right or wrong. Everyone is a piece of the whole truth of divine source, experienced in many different ways. So spread your truths straight from the heart, without fear or judgment, and you will give the world exactly what you came here to do, your true, healthy self. Thank you for listening.